Stuff happening today, you guys. I guess there was a debate earlier today that I didn't watch and don't care. I'm sure you care. I do not care because all politics is just lies and that thievery. They don't actually build or make anything, so I have no use for them. And anything and everything you guys hope and dream to be, dude, politicians are exactly the same no matter what country. It's just a matter of how corrupt how visible the corruption is. But what I want to read to you guys is the meaning of pathology. And pathology, if you guys did not know this, that study of diseases and sicknesses and illnesses is the study of pathology. But I want to more specifically, and this comes from the Oxford Dictionary version. So it says the science of causes and effects of diseases, especially the branch of medicine that deals the laboratory examination of samples of body tissues for diagnostic and forensic purposes. So, the reason why I put the passport pathology is because just like a scientist, we passport bros see a cause and an effect. The cause for me was quite deep, quite profound, and I'm going to talk to you about it at length tonight because this really was the nail in the coffin for me because I basically saw what the United living in the United States is like for real as an adult. Because I didn't know what it was like to live as an adult in the United States. So when I was planning on retiring and getting out of the military, I had places to go. So I go to the United States, and it's not what it used to be. It's so like there's more rules than ever. Even people that were like country boys or hillbillies are all in line. They all get in line. They all get in line now. Like people who ride in bikes in parks and like, hey, you can't do that. Or people trying to fish and people throwing shit at them. You follow me? So there's no reason that I see for any attractive reason for sticking around in an environment like that. I'm not built like that. I'm not just not. And so it was 1991. The Gulf War was kicking off. I knew I had to do something because, see, unlike other guys who go overseas because of some woman, I kind of did too. I wanted to get away from my mother. My mother was a raging alcoholic, and she was basically a 304. That's what she did. She played this game, all these modern women games. My mom knew them all. She did them all. But what I'm saying, unfortunately, you know, alcoholism took her down a path, and she died very young, and it just is what it is. But she didn't die before I went overseas. Believe me, because I left and I said I would never come back to these people ever again. I was adopted so that when these people, okay, the guy that adopted me, he had another son about 4 years later. So I automatically noticed that, first of all, I can understand a young man get married and this girl has a baby, and this is the 70s, so everybody's a simp. You guys all know that. I just want you all to know. The old days of romanticism and picking up girls and talking to girls and getting, relationships and going on dates and getting married, those are things of the past. And they were actually quite fun because the old days we didn't have rules. The old days we just said whatever we wanted to say. We would go out with whoever we wanted to go out with. You know what I mean? If you go up to a girl now, like 7-Eleven, you're like, hey, you look pretty nice. She could actually call the cops on you and have you arrested for harassment. So there's a good reason to get the fuck out of there. So I took the plunge, and it was 1992. Okay, the invasion had already happened. The Gulf War has already kicked off, and I was like, "Fuck it, man! I'm gonna go fight me a war. Why would I stick around here with these lousy people who don't have my best interests at heart?" And it's weird because Gen X kids always we all have the same stories. We were left at home. We were latchkey kids. Our parents were you know, druggies, hippies, people that were addicted to stuff. They were primitive, mentally primitive for sure. And I could tell that they had come from another time where it was kind of okay to hurt your children on a regular basis. Not just, I'm not talking about hitting, because that definitely happened in the 70s. And that woman definitely punched me in the face in public more than once. So I definitely had no love for that fucking lady. Now the father that adopted me had married another woman, and she really had a thing for me at the time. Like didn't have a good thing for me, but she had a bad thing for me at the time. What's up, Javier? And as a result, the result was that he had somehow like prepped her. It's like, this is my adopted son. I don't like him very much. He's annoying, he's autistic, or something's wrong with him, but I didn't want to deal with him. Now, he married her because she said, this is what's the greatest story. It's another simp story, by the way. I have lots of them. He married her. He met some woman at a bar, fucks her the first night. She's got the get or whatever. He marries her, takes on two more kids. Now, the backstory is that she was an abused woman, but there was never any police report filed. What she wanted to do was get away from the guy that she was with because he had beat her, I guess, or abused her. But I met that lady. Okay, she was the literal definition of a toxic female woman who had masculine traits and just didn't like anybody and was argumentative and combative. So I'm coming back from the fucking war, and I have never met this lady in my life, and I'm like hammered because you're flying from, like, if you're flying from Kuwait, you fly Kuwait to Holland, or you fly to Ramstein and then you go to Frankfurt to New York or whatever, or Philly. So it's a long ass flight. But on the flights internationally in the old days, all alcohol was free. So as I'm getting on the plane, besides this one, a packed plane, I'm in the emergency row. They say, don't drink too much. I'm like, yeah, I don't drink this too much. And I got hammered on the plane. I got hammered on the train going to my dad's house. I had never met this lady. I go in the front door. Okay. So I go, I'm on leave. I'm in fucking uniform. I'm smashed out of my mind. And I had just flown 14 hours to go and see these people. And like I said, the whole thing was set up from the beginning to set me up for failure, because these are people that are the types of people that see you succeeding and then say something shitty about the thing that you're pursuing. I know everybody has one in your family, but see, I had an entire family of people like that. Let's see. I was a young punk. I was a young punk. I really wanted something other than to starve every day because they didn't feed us. They neglected us. So as I got older and taller, I was fortunate enough to be able to have friends that had food, that had, hey, what's up, fellas? Friends that had food, you know what I mean? A lot of the like American kids after school would, their mom would make like grilled cheese sandwiches and have like Sunny Delight, stuff that I was not used to. And I would go to their house and they'd be like, you want some sandwiches? Mom would bring out shit. I'm like, fucking grilled cheese sandwiches. Ah. Because I was a hungry little kid. And I wanted to get the fuck out of my hometown, and I wanted to go somewhere else. So that was just the craziest part, is that when the military, you go into war, first of all, you have one specific job. When you go to war, you have 5 different jobs. So you're going to have all these not options if you're going to be dictated to do certain things in wartime. Some of us are lucky, some of us not so lucky. I was stationed with some of the rock stars of the military, which really helped me in my career, just having known them and being around them, because they like me a lot. But I had no significant wow fucking military career. I do have a medal for heroism, so that's good. I have good conduct medals upon conduct medals, marksman, expert marksman, humanitarian, outstanding unit, commendation. I got a commendation. That was a good one. But I ended up with a lot of damn medals that are useless now. Can't eat them. Can't. Well, yeah, I guess you could put them on a resume, but it's been so long now, it doesn't even fucking matter anymore, right? Once you're out of the military, nobody gives a shit. They just want to know how bad of a badass were you, and can we check that out? I'm like, even during the time that I was in Saudi the first time, in Kuwait the second time, we still did not have digital cameras, you guys. We did not have cell phones that we could like, take pictures of anything. We had to have this guy, this Arabic guy, would come by once a week in this Army and Air Force Exchange Service roach coach looking thing, and it would have a big door out back, and it would have candy, like melted candy. But he would come by once a week, and they had like disposable cameras. So I bought one of these disposable cameras, and that's how we used to physically mail photos. We used to physically mail the whole camera, back to the States to our girlfriends or wives or whatever. And then when we got back, we would have all these cameras developed, and have photo albums of war shots. Nowadays, motherfuckers got cell phones on their arm, on their weapon, and they're recording like live firefights and stuff. That was not my version of the military, not at all. No. Um, but regardless, it made me see what life is like in another country. Now, Saudi Arabia, as rich as it is, very cool, very fun to go to, it's all pumped up and everything. But this is literally a year after the war started. So I'm walking through. No, this is not true. That was not 90. I was in Saudi, I think, in 93 or 94. So we're walking through these bombed out buildings, going to the gold zoo, and I wanted to get my dog tags dipped in gold and then put silver silencers on them. And we were allowed to go down to Riyadh, to the downtown area where Chop Chop Square was. And if you guys have never seen a public execution, I don't recommend it. It's not something cool. There's nothing fucking cool about it. They don't chop women's heads off. They shoot them in the head because they can't expose their heads. We saw people get stoned to death, which you never know. They bring these people out and they're all drugged up, and they push them down into this hole, and people just smack the shit out of them with rocks and stuff. The executioner is actually a celebrity, and the family that's like the family of the prisoner who apparently did something bad, he had his head cut off, didn't pay the executioner more money to use a sharp sword to cut his head off. So your family has to pay the executioner more money in order for him to use a sharp sword. So they chopped this guy's head, and it went about halfway through, and the fucking guy just had to saw the fucking rest of this guy's head. So there's nothing cool about public executions. And if you're a foreigner, they push you all the way up to the fucking front, because apparently in the Saudi mentality is that if the prisoner sees a foreigner before they die, it's a sign of dishonor. So that's what they think of us, you guys. You and I, just our presence in another country is a sign of dishonor. So let's go back to pathology. And the reason why I brought this up, why I even mentioned it, is because the passport pathology is the study of what fucked us up, what got us here, and what we're like now. And what I discovered is that the mental health that I went through, the abuse that I went through as a kid, was so fucked up that the very idea of me going in the military was, number one of the best decisions I ever made, because I could get the fuck away from those people. And like I said, most people become passport bros later on in life when they got money. Motherfuckers, I was 17 years old when I went off to fucking war. I was ready to go. I had no business being around those people at all. I knew I was better than them. They knew I was smarter than them. And they automatically assumed that, this is adopted kids, first of all, have usually end up with a lot of problems because they move around from, different houses and different families and so on. Wasn't the case for me until this guy and his new wife decided they were going to gang up on me. I went to their house. This is what they said. I went to my fucking dad's house, adopted dad's house. He had married a new wife she had never met before. I was coming back from the war. I was fucking smashed out of my mind. And I go in the house and she had mopped the floor and I like walked in, I mean, boots, military uniform, just getting off a plane. Want to surprise everybody with my drunken ass. So I'm there and I walk in the front door and this bitch fucking screams at me, "You never gonna walk on my fucking floor." And so, of course, I'm now, you don't come at me. And I'm coming back from the fucking war and she's coming at me like, who are you, first of all? So I called it this and I called her that. I said, you know what? The only reason why you're with him is for his money. You're nothing but a fucking gold digger. She got so mad that she told my dad that I threatened to kill her. So for 20 fucking years, I didn't know this. And he just ostracized me. He didn't want anything to do with me because his new hoe bag ass wife, that apparently does it right for him, is more important than his adopted kid, which I totally get because I was a fucking nightmare as a kid. Nightmare as a kid. Caribbean. You don't need to go to the Middle East. I don't see any value in going to the Middle East right now. If you were planning on it, I mean, just to visit, I don't know where you'd go. Doha would be okay. You know what I mean? I would definitely stay away from Saudi, stay away from Kuwait, maybe. Bahrain, Wild West of the Arab world. Dubai, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Dubai is lovely. You got to realize I have not been to the desert since Dubai was the desert. It was none of these. I remember when they were building the artificial islands. I was in Germany. I remember them having the most expensive hotel in the world. I was blown away. It's shaped like a sail. It was $25,000 a night, and everything in the whole suite is made out of gold. And it's the TV's right there, but instead of the TV, moving, they move the bed moves to where the TV is. It's very, very nice. All those hotel rooms have their own butlers and house servant and so on. So it's a lot of money. But that ain't why I moved overseas. You see, I foresaw something that many of you didn't. You see, I was a jitterbug when I saw the war happening, but it wasn't long until I figured out that the war was fucking bullshit. That we went there thinking, we were all young jitterbugs with a sweet tooth, with an itchy trigger finger, just ready to go fight a fucking war. But when I got there, and I got to see, yeah, this ain't World War II, guys. And this is also the first portion of the Gulf War when the Iraqis were not trained. You know what I mean? We were fighting these dudes. It was like beating up fucking drunk people. Okay. It was just a kind of a pathetic thing that even some of the guys I was stationed with, these people were surrendering to the old video cameras. Like there wasn't even a weapon. It was held the camera up and they were videotaping. They're like screaming, George Bush, George Bush. Because they just didn't want to starve anymore. And I got to hear these. I got to see, got to meet, got to hear these people, and then I why are we even fucking here? Like this doesn't make any sense. Like okay, Saudi, yeah, this is where we get all our petroleum. Yeah, this is the 1960s and 70s or whatever it was. That was the 40s. Was it the 40s that we got to Saudi and we started extracting their oil? So right there, if you had not, any sense in your fucking head that a 17-year-old could figure out that we're at a war for oil barons. So we can destroy a goddamn whole country so that we can extract their resources. But I found out while I was there more than just oil. See, what Iraq has that many people don't know is it has antiquities. And many of these antiquities, they are the oldest antiquities in the world. They come from the Babylonians and basically they yeah. And what's mind blowing. This is so you guys know I get to see these structures and these statues and I'm standing before these things and I'm like, who did this? Like who did this? And then we go there and we blow up the actual place where all these relics were found. We actually went there and blew them up. We went there, we stole money. We went there, we stole gold. We didn't just steal oil from the Iraqis. We didn't just kill, that many people. We stole everything. We were like literally like safe boys coming in, door kicking, killing shitloads of innocent people, and collecting treasure. Afghanistan was even more pathetic excuse of a big fucking lie. I wasn't there, so I didn't have any hand in that. But just knowing they were there to guard poppy fields, okay, for raw materials that would end up going to China, that would end up coming to the United States, and you know these are all things that I noticed from a distance. I knew in the 80s there's no fucking way that crack dealers learned how to make crack on their own. There's just no fucking way. They were getting tons and tons of kilos from Colombia during the 80s, and it was distributed throughout all of the main cities. Now, why would a government allow that? You know, think about it. If it was poison or something like that, they wouldn't let through the mail system. No, instead, they allowed whole plane loads to fly into good old Bill Clinton's Arkansas and land with no problem. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, nothing has been fair. Everything we've done has been a fucking setup. Everything we've been told is a lie. Even the United States is a fucking lie, you guys. Just so you know. Look on the base of the Statue of Liberty. Now, you guys are in New York. You know what I'm talking about. What is the base of the Statue of Liberty? Take a look on Google, and all you got to look up is the word star fort. The base of the Statue of Liberty is an ancient star fort that was there before 1492, before Columbus sailed the ocean blue. The star forts are over the whole world, and they were there from the old world. They've covered them up. They put trees on top of them. Puerto Rico, the fort in Puerto Rico is a star fort. So all these forts that were supposedly built by the Spanish were from the last civilization before the Spanish were even thought of. So my motivation behind moving overseas was an emotional one. It wasn't a logical one. It was an emotional one because the disease of envy, hatred, deep-seated resentment and drug abuse and alcohol abuse in that family. It gave me enough motivation to say, you know what? This fucking family is fucked up and I don't want nothing to do with it. And yeah, there's been a lot of things that have happened, and I'm not playing a victim here, you guys. I'm not talking in. I'm a recovered person. You know what I mean, from a hopeless situation that happened, more than 20 years ago. But even so, even if that woman did say that lie about me, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. You see, when a man loves his kids, nothing anybody on the outside can say is going to be true unless you hate those kids. Like if you hate your kids, you don't care what people say about them. You don't care what happens to them. That's a form of abuse, which is called neglect. The other part, which is called parental alienation, is where, for my example, is that I had a daughter with a girl I was married to. She went back to the States and lost her passport. And she brought the baby with her, obviously, and they didn't come back. 3 months later, she had a new boyfriend. And I got divorce papers in the mail. Now, pretty good logical reason to leave me. I was a raging alcoholic, but that doesn't last forever. I stopped drinking in the 19th of March 2002. So there's real no excuse for saying, well, you can't be around your daughter because he's a fucking deadbeat. He's a drunk. He's a liar. He's a this. He's a that. All those things were probably true before the 19th of March 2002. Because after that, I had a psychic change. I decided I wasn't going to do anything fucking had anything to do with alcohol. I was going to get my shit together, get my money up, pay my child support off, and I was fucking out. Because I had $70,000 in back child support to pay off, plus an additional $8,000 in late fees and interest. So let me tell you guys something. You cannot renew your passport if you owe over, I get this at the time was like $1,500 in back child support. And they tack on really crazy interest and fines and stuff like that if you don't pay on time. So when I paid off all my child support, all $72,000 of it, I had this $8,000 bill that was fees and all this shit. So when somebody from the VA told me, you can have all that waived, I was like, say what? They go, yeah, go to the courthouse, fill up this form, put it there. You're going to see a magistrate. Your ex wife has to agree to it. Even though she doesn't benefit anything from these taxes, your ex has to agree to it that you can have these things waived, which is illegal. Because if you're a disabled veteran or if you're a disabled person, you have a form that fills out that says that I, in this point in my life, cannot pay this shit back. And it's actually unconstitutional. All that money that I would have paid the court goes to the magistrate and the judge's retirement fund. So you guys know that you're getting fucked on your child support. So that's number 2 reasons why I got my passport and said, fuck this shit. I knew what I was doing. I knew that there was a war. That means they want people to leave and they want to go overseas. So they might take it easy on me in basic training, right? Wrong. Tech school, wrong. But I ended up getting to my first duty station, and when it was, hey, Hurrahfield, first special operations. I was not special operations, but everybody I worked with was. I was like the bum. I was the only guy who wasn't. But I trained with these guys, and I swear to God, they were trying to kill me. What's new? So if I was to put this is more of a cause and effect thing, is that these people in life are going to come up and they're going to try and hurt you. They're trying to hurt your feelings. They're trying to break you down. Because I think that this is Satan's little time. I think we're in a world that's ruled by the devil, and that we're not as, how can I put this? Okay, because I'm not concerned about offending the devil, but I'm not going to give him fucking free superpowers either. See what I'm saying? I'm not going to give demons superpowers, because all those people that piss us off in the States, it isn't those people. It's the demons that possess those people. So we're not actually fighting against flesh and blood. We're fighting against some fucking spiritual shit that these people allowed to happen. And so as a result, many of us grew up in fucking fatherless homes. Many of us made dumb decisions. And we make these decisions based off of emotions, that is hurt feelings, and mystery, because we are in so much pain deep down inside that we are willing to go to literally another country that we don't speak the language just to start all over again, to get the fuck away from those people. Because this whole world, like I said, it's ruled by abusers, pedos, and Satanists. So it's better to leave, because the whole government is corrupt. The whole history is false. The whole dollar system is collapsing. It's time to hit the fucking road. All of our politicians have lied to us. They're all liars and thieves anyway, and they're not worth a shit. Look at them. Look at them. Look at all the people that are getting fired right now because they're not qualified to do their job. They want somebody on the fucking Supreme Court that can't even cite what the fucking Fifth Amendment is. So you know these people are installed. I see everything so far as this is a theater. Okay, all this shit, all these people, these are actors, these are NPCs, and it seems like you and I are the only ones in this soap opera, if you will. So I looked back on everything now, and I've accidentally found information that made me go, fuck, why didn't people talk to me when I was young? If there was a problem with me when I was young, why don't people have the balls to just talk to me like a fucking adult and sort it out? But instead, people love to deflect. You see, if they had a thing that it would confront me with, and they said, well, this is the problem. I said, well, first of all, you're fucking wrong, because they don't want to be wrong. That's why they know they are wrong. So they're not going to talk to you like an adult. It's all about sign language. It's shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Shame, well, you're a shitty fucking father. Insults, well, you could just add that on. They could go, well, your past is like this, and you pick girls like that. Insults. Guilt. Remember what you did to me back in the day, that they hold resentment for forever. Remember what you did to me? So this is the justification for many of these people to abuse their kids so that they end up fucking getting all screwed up. It's because they are inadequate themselves. In fact, many of the people who are going to abuse other people or make fun of people or be envious of other people is because they are jealous. Just like your mom or dad or grandma used to say, if you came home crying from school, somebody picked on you. Well, it's because they're jealous. And they are jealous. They're jealous that you might actually be better than them and eventually outgrow them so much. So they pretty much have hyper focused on you because they want to feel less shitty about themselves. Does that make sense, Ozzy? Yeah. Well, the military was just a push. And yes, a lot of passport bros started off as military because once you've been overseas and you can't unsee it after you see it, after people treat you a certain way. Like I was blown away by Colombia. My first trip to Colombia, everyone was so nice. I was like, this is very, very sus, very sketchy. Because I assumed automatically that, you know, people in people in Colombia were like people in Mexico. They're not. They're really different. First of all, people in Colombia don't eat spicy food. People think, oh, well, Colombia, right? Spanish food must be spicy. Colombians don't eat spicy food. Colombians don't like hot sauce. Colombians don't like acid, acidic, sour candy. There's certain things they just don't do. Another thing is that I made hamburgers once, and I made hamburgers like about that thick, like Texas sized burgers. So I'm making these hamburgers like this shit. I invite friends over, and I make these to my temperature that I think is good, which would be medium rare. Colombians cannot see pink or blood or anything in food. They lose it because they automatically assume that everything's contaminated with parasites. So Colombians love to cook the shit out of steak, and anything that is made out of meat needs to be completely cooked until it's like fucking beef jerky, burnt, ruined. This is how they do it. So I make these hamburgers. They look up and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I go, "Well, you know what? Go and cook it the way you want it." They come back, the fucking hamburgers as black as this cell phone. Hell yeah. Crabs in a bucket. Yeah, I heard. I don't know if you knew this or not, but our organization, it's got like 600 people in it. And Colombia has its own. We have our own here. So every country has its own like team of emergency workers when there's not enough paramedics, firefighters from the local municipality. They usually call in reinforcements from other states or municipalities. So if it's a big thing, it's like a really big flood, or if it's a really big earthquake and it's like there are death tolls and stuff like that, then we respond. But the word is that unless it's like 20,000 people or more who have died or are displaced, we don't respond to anything. They allow the regular fire department of that region to handle it. But if they like the earthquake we had in 2017, you bet your ass we were here. So that was good. I had to fucking have a purpose in life. Once you get out of the military, you can't just do nothing. So I had fire training my early career in the military. I was in charge of all the water. I was in charge of sprinklers. I was in charge of hangars, part of the foam system. So all of the emergencies for anything I had to do with fire went through civil engineering. And so my particular expertise was in water treatment, water distribution, inside, outside utilities, things like that, because that's the basics you learn in civil engineering school in the first 4 years. But I spent my first year digging up fire hydrants every single day for 300 something days a year in the snow a lot of times. In fucking freezing ass cold. Why? Because I was a little slick sleeve on the totem pole. That's where they put us. They put us in like painting telephone poles for a whole year, or mowing lawns at the water plant for a whole year. Never going into the lab, never going into the distribution, never going to learn anything. No, you're the yard man for about a year. But I got lucky because I had great mentors and stuff in the military. So once fucking it was time to get deployed, we were out of there. But once you got deployed, you had a guaranteed assignment after the war to anywhere you wanted to go. Now, I had a roommate at the time in the dorms. His name was Eric, and Eric was a bit of a strange character, and he got orders to go to Germany. So I was like, wow, that's great, man. You're on your way. He's like, yeah, but I don't really want to go. I'm like, oh, really? Why not? I want to go. I want to get out. I want to go home. I'm like, I'm just in my fourth fucking year. I'm ready to take it, bro. Whatever you want. What do you want that? So I put in a request in the orderly room and said, I want that. I want to go to Germany. So immediately I got orders and I was on the next plane out. Got to Germany, had a sponsor, Andre, picked me up from this Frankfurt airport. Dude, I had jet lag so bad. I was just like so fucked up, bad. I couldn't sleep at night because, it's like 14 hours, flight and it's 8 hours difference in time. So I was all whacked out. Well, I finally get up there. I get to my temporary residence. Sponsor drops me off. See you later. He comes the next morning and I'm like, hadn't slept. And I'm like, dude, I really feel bad. I can't. So the following day, I went into my duty station first time, and that's when the fun began because I started to see, like I said, observations came to me in intuitive flashes. And there was a lot of fuckery going on in the military back then. It just that people wanted to get rank, but they didn't want to test or have to go through all the trouble to get rank. And that means doing volunteer work, maybe involved with your church, but winning competitions against other soldiers or airmen got you brownie points. In my case, I was doing bodybuilding. I was winning the airman of the quarter, airman of the group, airman of the wing. I was a desert warrior 1 month. So there's all these like awards if you're a top performer in the military. It doesn't pay anything extra, but it does give you a lot of preference, and it definitely helps you when you're going for promotion because you're being compared to by everybody else. So I get overseas, and when I finally retire from overseas, I say, you know what? I need to go to the hospital. I have to out process. And I really don't want to go to Miami. Miami sucks. But I end up going to Miami anyway. While I'm in there, the guy at the VA is like, listen, man, they put in an express lane for combat veterans for your benefit. So why don't you just go to Puerto Rico, go get in line, show them your records, and get your fucking pension? I was like, that easy? He goes, dude, all you got to do is go get on a plane. And I'm thinking, yeah, but on my passport not renewed or whatever, it wouldn't have mattered because the Puerto Rico is part of the United States. I needed to go to Puerto Rico in order to learn Spanish. So when I was going to Colombia or Panama, wherever I decided to go, I would speak Spanish. And I spoke Spanish like as a kid a little bit, but you don't realize how much you don't know until you actually move to those countries and they're talking to you in Colombian Spanish or Argentine, Mexican Spanish, Panamanian Spanish, Costa Rican Spanish. So it's like a whole different language on top of the language, which was good. So what made me stay overseas? Well, be honest with you, I met a Brazilian girl that had like the nicest body you ever saw in your life. She had curly black hair, little short curly black hair, and she was so cute and so sweet. And I'm like, where on earth? This is Germany, by the way. Where on earth did you come from? Brazil. So when I started noticing that all her friends, like every one of her friends, was Brazilian, Colombian, Argentine, no Mexicans, no Puerto Ricans, no Cubans, Venezuelans, Colombians, and so on. And I was like, all her friends were fine. I was like, wow, where's your friend from? Oh, she's from Colombia. I'm like, what part of Colombia? It's like Medellin. So I introduced her to my uncle. My uncle's like, wow, where are you from? Medellin. My uncle moved to Medellin because they had the prettiest prostitutes. That's why my uncle moved to fucking Medellin because they had the prettiest prostitutes. So his logic behind moving to Colombia because they had the prettiest prostitutes was that if he could get girls that he paid to have sex with him because he's a dude that's so used to getting rejected in Germany that he finally went to a Latin American a country where you don't need to pay for sex unless you really need to or want to. Literally walk in the mall, go up to the first pretty girl you see and say hi. And she'll go, "Hi, how are you? What's your name? Where are you from?" That's how nice they are. So wash your hands of the bullshit and then go somewhere where you're appreciated and loved. And that's what we get when we go overseas, especially if you've got value to add to the community. I mean, I have my niche. You probably have yours. But if you come down here and you have nothing going on, you have no like hobbies or no dedication to something in life, people will quickly not hang out with you, including women. Women in these countries respect dudes that work hard work, like painting houses and cutting lawns and installing sprinklers. They love that shit. They see it as masculine, as manly. I was at the time building a website, making a few bucks, and my ex who was from Venezuela was like so like just disgusted with me. I'm like, what is the matter with you? You're always on the computer all day and at night, the whole night. Like, I'm building a website so we can make money so we don't starve to death. Yeah, but you're not making not money. It's not real. Not real money. I'm like, what do you mean it's not real money? You're gonna make the computer. I know nothing on this one. I'm like, yeah, but I'm building a website so we can make money so that we can survive, so we can do better than most people. Yeah, but my suegra, he look at him. He is mowing the lawn. He is cut the trees. He is to paint the house. So she was an Americanized Venezuelan girl. And even though she was Americanized, she still recognized hard work, physical hard work, as being more manly than being on a fucking computer all day. And you're going to come down here and realize real quick, they're not impressed by anything online. They're not impressed by how popular you are in the States. They don't give a shit if you played lead guitar when you were in high school. They don't care about any of that stuff. It's foreign to them. You know, it's very much gibberish. Like when you listen to a lot of American dudes talk, they talk about this fucking $1,200 T-shirt they got. You know, they talk about this car that they, you know, got, and you know the fucking apartment they just rented in blah 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 Miami. None of this shit's impressive. My own brother like did a like the Winter Music Conference. You know, the Electric Daisy. Oh, these big festivals. He's DJing this shit. So it's like all these people jumping and for him dropping the bass. And then he goes to Colombia. Now remember something, my brother was a heroin addict, strung out for fucking years. And I went and saved his life, got him out of there, flew him to Colombia with me, of all places. Let him stay in my guest house. Got him all the detox drugs that they sell at the pharmacy, because the drugs, by the way, have all of these addictive things that you see all the people folded in half in the States. If you go to the fucking pharmacy here in Mexico, the cure is on the shelf. It's $44. It's called ibogaine. It's illegal in the States. It's legal in Mexico, and it kills opiate addiction, smoking, drinking, anything like that, PTSD, nightmares, depression. It wipes it all out. So there's a good reason. If you got a drug problem or an alcohol problem and you think it is a problem and you want to get rid of it, when you come overseas, you just go to the pharmacy. You tell them, I got this, I got this, I got this, and I want to get rid of it. Go, oh yeah, you're a alcoholic, huh? And they'll give you a box of paracetam. Oh, you're a heroin addict. Oh, and they'll give you a box of ibogaine. See what I'm saying? So there's all these different things that you can get overseas that you're not going to get in the States because it's illegal in the States. And everything I like is illegal. So there's that. Another thing is that the cost of living for the same shit. My house is a 5-bedroom, 2-3 bathroom, 2-car garage, 3 stories on a park. It's $450 a month. Used to be $420, but with this fucking dollar doing its shit. It's like $450 now. $450 for a house this size that would cost you about $4,000 in the States. I don't know. I'm making those numbers up. How am I? Okay. I was an OG in Colombia. I don't know, man. I don't try to be hilarious. I can't force comedy. I figured that out. Can't like some people can't. Like, you rants. You sound like a fucking car salesman. I'm like, hey, is this just the way I talk? I'm talking to you like I'm having a regular conversation, or I'm trying to teach something. And in this moment in here, I'm talking about one thing, and that's the passport pathology. The passport is the cure to the pathogen. The pathogen would be a killer virus, a pathogen, which would be a disease or a parasite that's trying to kill you slowly. And that's what people in the States do to you. They kill you slowly. Why do you think the average like life expectancy of people in the US is like 70 years old? Because food's poison, water's poison, the everybody's in love with money, everybody's obsessed with money, everybody's forced to work for money, everybody's forced to buy things that they don't really need. They're taxed on everything. I don't care. Could never imagine spending $200 on an electric bill. Like my electric bill, I think it was $14 for 2 months. My water bill, oh, it actually went up to $15 this month. And I was like, these sons of bitches, they're killing us. They're robbing us. Man, let me tell you something. When I lived in the States, I had a fucking wife that used to have that air conditioner cranked down to below zero. And it would stay on 24 hours a day. And then I got that fucking electric bill, like $250. And I'm like, what? So see, I don't care about any of that stuff. It's all fake. We're paying for the same electricity. The water and the coal and the nuclear, it's no different. It's no different. Yeah, we do have cell phones here in Mexico. We have iPhones too. We have iStores, Apple stores. Oh yes, we do have Wi-Fi. You see? You know what I'm saying? It's like breaks my heart. Hang on a sec, but I gotta read. Okay, Latinas look at you and they have a preconceived idea of what you are supposed to be doing as a man because they see men doing manly stuff every day. But then they see a guy like myself that worked my way out of the fucking ditches and off of doing roofing work, you know what I mean, to being at the level I am right now. And it's not because I had money before, guys. You already know I was broke as a bitch. Most of you guys can completely identify with everything financial about me. You probably do the exact same thing, probably been through the same stuff. And here you are wondering, gee, man, I really want to find a way that I can make money online or do some kind of thing, or maybe when I retire, and I could go and live in another country because it's better. Listen, I don't even need medical insurance. Why? Because if I need to go see a doctor, all I got to do is pay $3 to go see a doctor, and they'll give me any script I want. If I have to go to the emergency room, if I have to go to the hospital, I am a veteran on a pension, so we have this thing called TRICARE. You can go to the doctor for an emergency, and they will reimburse you. Thing about it is doctor visits like $50. So your initial, like your pre-screening or whatever, when you go see a doctor, is about $3. Then they schedule you to do other stuff if it's surgery or if you got to be somewhere else. Or if you got to get labs done, they tell you where to go. And then you check it out. How much this costs? How much this costs? How much this costs? So there's no like surprise. And then you get gringo price at the end. What? It's 20,000 pesos, which is $1,000. That's expensive. I got my face done and I got her face done with these like collagen injections and all this shit. And she had Botox. And it was 300 US dollars. Like to have our whole, oh, we didn't just do that. We also had serum where they take the blood out of your arm and they separate the red cells and the white cells and they take that serum out of the center. That's how partially I grew my hair back, was she put it in my hair. But we used to go to this girl's. By the way, she lived. Her dad built a castle, and it's not as big as my castle, but it's nice. At least hers has a roof, and it's not all busted. But she tried to sell it to me. She wanted like 13 million. I'm like, bitch, I ain't got that kind of money. I don't even have 1 million. I don't even have 1 million anymore. It's like, I said, what happened to all your money? I said, I gave it all away. Well, why'd you do that for? Because isn't that what we're supposed to do anyway? Right? Because if I don't, I'm gonna be a slave to that shit. But I know I'm gonna get more anyway, so why not give it away? I'm okay with that. You guys gotta remember something, man. I went from broke, hungry, broke. And I was sick of I went to some nice places with some nice people, in this game, whatever the fuck this is. So there are things that I've been able to do that I cannot express to you guys because none of you fucking believe me, which I get because it's just not possible for one guy at 50 years old to be able to do so many things. And that's the thing. It's like, do you really want to stay in your zip code for the rest of your life? Or are you going to go try do something? Here's an easy one. I'll give you this one. This is a bone I will throw you that I did myself, okay? And I went to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is about an hour flight from Fort Lauderdale. The plane ticket is $50. Hotels, Airbnbs, taxis, no problem. Ride share. They've got segways to cruise around on, electric bikes to rent. So there's quite a bit of stuff in Puerto Rico that you could just like move right in. Nobody will fucking know. Nobody will care. And that's why I say go to Puerto Rico first so you can learn Spanish. If you're still paying off child support, it's part of the States. The other part I would say would be the U.S. Virgin Islands. Now, Virgin Islands would be like a miniature version of Jamaica or of the U.S. The British Virgin Islands. But the U.S. Virgin Islands is USVI. I would really recommend going on Google Maps or Google Earth and just type in USVI. You'll see how big the island is. You'll see how many people that live there. You'll see the average income. What I tell people to do is just go there, get a P.O. box, open up a bank account, open up an LLC. It's all good. No one will mess with you. You'd be completely invisible because some people just want to come down here just to disappear. I mean, that is the cure to a lot of things. And for me, I want to call it my cure to the family curse. All right. I don't have any more curses because I left all the people who were the curse behind. Knowing that, I've separated myself. I haven't talked to them in years. When they try and talk to me, I'm like, yeah, well, they want me. Oh, I heard they want me to call them. Really? Do you realize that their fucking phone works too? And I don't really have anything to say to them. So why am I going to call people who used to fucking abuse me when I was a kid? Right? Why would I talk to people who treat me with disrespect? So like I said, or Mr. Palmer says, just go get away from these people, wash your hands, and never look back because they're not even people anymore. At this point, I see them all as demons. I see them all as PNCs. NPCs. NPCs. I understand now because just like okay, I'll give you guys an example. You guys have you ever had a dream where you're in an active conversation with somebody and you're talking to them and they literally don't acknowledge you, they don't look at you, and they act like they can't hear you? Because that's a little bit what I feel like sometimes because cognitive dissonance, but by the way, you guys, has a lot of different meanings to it. And this one specific one is cognitive dissonance. For people who are convinced the life is this way and it's not any other way. It's like the prisoners from Plato's cave. The prisoners from Plato's cave, they had like a shadow show. And the people on the outside of the prisoners would have like a little bird or something on a stick, and and they would try and like do like shadow stories for the people inside this prison. So they all saw just a shadow of the bird, or just a shadow of a tree, or just a shadow of a ball, or whatever. They didn't see the actual real thing. So when they are in this sort of program, if you will, which it is a program, I don't care anybody. Listen, I have only a couple things to say about this life. And I know that I sound like a crazy person when I say this, but listen, I went to a spa in Puerto Rico. It was a friend of mine's supplement store. He had like this spa behind. And he's like, you got to have this. You quit smoking. You need to go detox your feet. And I'm like, detox my feet? He says, yeah. He goes, I'll do this electrode thing and I'll put it in the water with some Epsom salt and some potassium. And you put your feet in there for an hour. And what'll happen is all the toxins in your body will come out of your feet. I quit smoking like the week before. And this is like 2010, I believe. And I put my feet inside of this thing, and he hit a button that created that ultrasonic like frequency. And I took a picture of it. I took a picture of my feet inside this thing. When I got home and I looked at the picture, I could see all of the vibrations that were going on, the electrical field going on in this picture. And I was like, that's it. I could see the other dimension. Now I know. But that's what pushed me into this whole thing. That's what pushed me into this whole thing, because I'm going from one step up to one step up every single time. I'm not going down in stature. I'm not going down in status either. So I'm not going to go from here, big shot fire chief. Now I'm going to go down to what? Degenerate gambler again? No, forget that. I'm going this way. So if any of you guys wants to go this way, I'm going that way. If any of y'all wants to go that way, I'm not going that. I've already been there. Sucks. Hang tight, my man. Hang tight. I believe other options for Americans booking to escape Guam. Okay, yeah, we talked about this. This is good. This is good, Ozzy. Listen to this, you guys. Listen. The Guam, first of all, is an American. It has a military base. It's 7 miles long. If you go to Guam, you can go there and passport bro it up, but you don't really need to, because it's part of the United States. And just like Puerto Rico, if you want to live in the Far East, or you want to live in, in Asia, that's an ideal situation if you want to be isolated. The Mariana Islands are the same way. Bali is a very inexpensive, cheapy. I'm not a big fan of Bali. I'm not going to Bali. I'm not going to hang out with those people. I know who's there. And every single time I see something on fucking Bali, it's hippies and their feminine ass husbands. It's like, hi today. And I'm like, oh no, what has happened to men? This is wrong. You go to a manly island like the U.S. Virgin Islands, you're not going to act that way, by the way. So you know. Because the Virgin Islands is very, 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 what was that? Transphobic? Gayphobic? They're very, very a lot of stuff. But the one thing they're not is weak. And weak governance and population will allow just anything goes, which is what got us here, was letting just anything go. The result, destruction of the family, fatherless homes, kids that end up homeless in high school because they cannot deal with the single mother that they've been assigned to. Like the one I was, that punched me in the face in fucking Perkins restaurant. That was a bad time for me. Okay. And like I said, I'm not playing a victim. I'm just telling you guys the facts. What happened to me, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. What it's like now is I've never had it so good. And I'm actually almost on a daily basis, like drawn to tears because of how good I got it now. Because even though it's been a long time, that trauma still rested with me for many years. And I made it a life's point to try and find, the cure, because I was not interested in being, a statistic. Another veteran kills himself. At the time when I had this great revelation, 39 guys that I knew had died. 39. They say the statistics were like 5,000 veterans deleting themselves per month. I was not going to go out like that. I'm not going to either. And I tell you guys, I tell everybody else, is that I'm not going out like that. They try and hunt me. They haven't found a way to kill the rooster yet. So, like I said, if you want to get after this, if you got your passport and you just want to practice, hit the Commonwealths first. Just practice the language, practice carrying yourself around overseas. Expect what you're going to be doing when you're there. You don't want to just sit around and do nothing. You want to have some form of active activities that you can do to keep you from being bored. Because a lot of guys, they get overseas like, yay, I got everything I need, my apartment, I got the girl. Now what? You can't go out partying every night. You need to have hobbies to do stuff. Every one of these countries has stuff to do. You'll find it. I mean, if you're going to run around and chase girls, that's fine. It's going to leave you empty. And the whole point of this talk today is to get away from the things that got us here. Many of the things that got us here were the bad behaviors of our own mothers. And people wonder, why are you guys going overseas? Well, our moms were ratchets, uneducated. That means our moms, our aunts, our grandmas, everybody is guilty of some fuckery, some way. You know, when my mom died, my aunt and my grandma took her Social Security, even though my name was on it, to receive it, receivership. The I guess their shady lawyer didn't feel like I deserved it, even though it's part of the deal. I had one aunt that's big as a house, and they were like doing some scams or something right around gas stations selling coupons, and they, you know, by the way, this is the mother and this new boyfriend guy who was a drug addict, who was a heroin addict, stole like 300,000 from her. She died penniless, and the only thing she had was Social Security. But my aunt was so nice to be able to steal that from me before she moved on. God bless her. And the last part of this is, see, some guys have their hearts broken. Well, I kind of both. It was family, and it was a divorce that forced me to say, I'm staying overseas. I'm not going back. I don't have to. I did go back to El Process. I stayed for a while, bought some property, then I went right back overseas. You're not keeping me there. You're not going to keep me there. While I was there, better believe they were trying to keep me there. Now I see every fucking thing for what it was. My my adopted father's lawyer. And I'm doing a patent search. I don't know if you guys know this. I invent things so I can patent them, so I can repackage them and market them and make fucking millions. But when I was young, I didn't have money like that. I didn't have money to be, paying for patents. So a lot of people stole my shit. A lot of people copied my ideas. And that is just what happens. But it was enough to push me over the fucking edge. Like, all right, I'm going to the bank tomorrow. I'm asking for $10 million. We already got $3 million on the books. When I go to turn in the paperwork, I'm like, what the fuck? Your dad never signed a fucking paper. You never signed a contract. And when they come back around, it's like, well, I own 55% of this company. Oh, no, you don't own anything. Okay, you don't own shit. We own the company. I mean, yeah, you might have started it, but now since you trusted us to take, while you're running around being Mr. Passport, bro, and you're using us like fucking employees, so we're just gonna just take apart everything you worked for. And if there's any money involved, we're just gonna go, oh well. So you can quite understand why I have very to zero feelings about much of anybody from that family, because they just don't care about anybody but themselves. And the best thing I could have done is get the fuck away from them. Because think about this: if you have a mom that's abusive to you, dad's verbally abusive to you, you don't have great opportunities. Your parents aren't going to be like, here, get all dressed up, fix your tie. We're going to go in here and I'm going to introduce you to people who are of value. They don't do that. See what I'm saying? I do that. Like tonight, I had a meeting with 6 kids. They're all just graduated from high school, talking about what they're going to do. And I'm just like, you go to the airport, go work at a fucking airport, put a suit on, go apply for a job. If you want, I'll sign something on there for you so you've helped me out. I'll co-sign for you. You know what I mean? Guys can go and work at the factories that are in the airport for all of the parts and all the jet mechanics, all that is in the air park. Or if you want to be a firefighter, you can go be a firefighter at the airport, but you got to go through basic over here. You got to do tech over here, and then you can go and do your shit. But I'm not moving to California. What the fuck am I gonna do that? California is stupid expensive. So, hang on a second, bud. Let me look. What's this say? You sound like Michael from GTA 5. I don't know what Grand Theft Auto. Yeah. I never played it. I stopped being a gamer completely. I stopped being a gamer. I stopped playing games. Not doing it. I'm done with it. Because I, just like any alcoholic, could be very addicted to video games, spend all their time 24 hours a day playing video games and not on YouTube 24 hours a day. Well, it looks like we got to go play, oh boy. Anyway, I hope this helps you out a lot. Do check out all of those places that we discussed tonight. And maybe you can find your place in the world, because I say go where you're treated the best. Mexico kind of sucks for that right now, but we're maybe heading to El Salvador for too long. I'm the professor. I appreciate you coming in. I'm out.